What's up, Leafs fans? Welcome back to another Leafs Nation After Dark. I'm Zack Phillips, and tonight we're breaking down game number 62 of the Toronto Maple Leafs regular season as they drop this one 5-2 to the Vegas Golden Knights in Vegas in the final game before the trade deadline. The final game of what's likely just this roster top to bottom. It feels like there's going to be changes. We watched Tampa go and make a big trade. We watched the Lightning go and make a big trade. And at this point, it feels like something is bound to happen here. And it's one of those times going into the deadline where a trade can no longer just involve going and getting rid of picks to get somebody to come here, or getting rid of, some 6th, 7th, 8th guy on the depth chart who's further down and not playing, but taking up a roster spot, maybe a bit of cap space, and removing that guy from the team in order to go out and get someone to fill in depth. If you're going to make a change, it's going to have to be somebody money out, player out, contract out, roster spot out to get that player in. So something is going to happen. Some things are going to change between now and Friday by the end of the trade deadline. So we're going to see a bit of a different team than what you end up getting on Friday. Now, we'll break down tonight's game. We'll give our thoughts on this one and how it all played out and how I feel about this one. We'll dig into some of the line changes that we ended up seeing, and obviously some of the most pressing issues of what we've seen here in the game tonight, and kind of the result that you got. And as we go through all of that and get to our best bet later on, reminder, it's a presentation of Bet365, proud partner of the Leafs Nation pregame and the Leafs Nation After Dark. Open an account with Bet365 today. Bet on a huge range of markets. Use code NATION, NATION. That's code NATION, NATION, all caps, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. I see some very, very pissed off people here in the chat already. I don't know if it's just because they're grumpy because they stayed up this late to watch this one, if they didn't have enough coffee today, or if there was piss in their Cheerios when they woke up this morning. But, I mean, look, it's an 82-game season. These games are bound to happen. It was the Vegas Golden Knights. And, I mean, yeah, it comes off of a loss to San Jose here, but this has been a lot of travel and a lot of games in a short period of time coming back from that break, of which you won 5 consecutive. Like, you won 5 consecutive games, then you end up dropping the game to San Jose, which you shouldn't have dropped, but you get a point out of that one regardless. And then, yeah, this was an absolute stinker. See, the thing for me with this game tonight against Vegas is the most frustrating part is not the 5-2 loss. The most frustrating part is that you played really well in the first period, or you played pretty well, I guess I should say, in the first period. It was your goaltending that let you down. Joseph Woll had yet another tough game here tonight where he was fighting through it, fighting pucks, fighting rebounds, and lets in 3 goals on 7 shots, gets the yank there on a couple of chances by Vegas that he really should have had. And you look down on the flip side of things, and it's Adin Hill on the other end who's making saves that if he doesn't come up big in some of those spots, if he doesn't come up big in some of those moments, this is a much different looking game in the first 20 because the Leafs were the better team in that first period. The Leafs did have some jump. Matthew Knies opens the game with the fight off the opening draw, and Leafs had energy after that. It's Joseph Woll who, unfortunately, for the second time here in a short span, does not show up and does not have a great game. And then after a 3-0 first period, the Leafs completely collapsed. And Jeff O'Neill said it on the broadcast in the intermission. What's unfortunate is you look down at the goalie change. It's Anthony Stolarz, and it almost feels like you owe it to him to keep fighting and to play even close to the way you did in the first period. And it felt like it just got worse. Like they just completely shut down. You could feel the energy deteriorating after it got to 3-0, and you could see the effort and the intensity that they had shown up with kind of just dwindling away. And then when they came out for the second period, they just said, We're out of here. They threw caution to the wind. They said, we're done. That's it. We're out. And that is the most frustrating part to me. It wasn't execution. It's not walking away from this game going, oh shit, we can't hang with the Vegas Golden Knights of the world. We can't hang with the upper echelon teams. Like, that's not my takeaway. My frustration with this game is that they said, fuck it, we're out of here after the first period when they had actually played pretty well, but their goaltending finally tanked them. And that's honestly just completely disgraceful for the effort that you've gotten from those guys back there all year long. Joseph Woll, Anthony Stolarz, they have saved your asses time in and time out. And one time, you get hung out to dry and you turn around, you flip your goaltender at double birds and you say, fuck it, we're out of here. We're not going to do it. That's where this one gets disgraceful for me. I mean, if we want to come on here and complain about execution and getting through things, I'm just not going to have it tonight. Like, if that's your complaint with this game, if that's what you want to be frustrated about, you go ahead and be frustrated. Like, I'm just not going to. Right now, for me, it's the fact that you hung the goaltenders out to dry and you said, screw it. Like, they had cameras cutting to people in the stands here tonight who were falling asleep. And honestly, I don't blame them. If it wasn't for the fact that we're here doing the post-game show, this is one of those games I would have just loved to turn off because it was boring. You saw the energy get sucked out of the team. They called it quits. They waved the white flag and they said, we don't want to do this anymore. And that's a huge piss off. But the difference for me right now, and the reason that I'm not going to go all 6 1/3 and lose my mind and complain and cry about this, is that, you know what? This isn't a common occurrence for this group. And we can look back to seasons prior and say, yes, this is something that's happened before, but you'd basically have to date yourself back to last year or, years before that to find examples of this happening or find examples of it happening frequently. Like, this is just not something we've seen this season. Typically, you're getting fight back, and this team is just not collapsing, not saying die, not rolling over. They fight and they push and they claw their way back into things, whether it's because of the defense or the goaltending or it's the big boys stepping up, whatever it may be. You found ways, in different ways, to fight back into games and have efforts and not just have it just get out of hand like this. It's not been a common occurrence this year. We've seen it, but not frequently. So I'm not smashing panic button the way I would have been in years past and saying that this is something that projects out to happen in the playoffs and this is something that's going to tell me what the long-term success of this team is going to be. I just can't get there in a game like this or in a season like this. It has felt a little bit different. It just has. Like, watching the team throughout this season, it's felt a little bit different. Look, this is a sloppy, shitty fucking game, and it was awful to watch, and your goaltending was bad. And there is a bit of me that's starting to panic watching Joseph Woll have 2 consecutive starts like this. One against Pittsburgh where he's letting everything in, and one against Vegas here, because you'd think it would happen once and then he's going to bounce back in the next one and it'll be okay. It's just not the case. He does it again here against Vegas, and honestly, coming away from that first period, he's the reason that you're looking at a tough start and you're down the way that you are. But it's just pathetic on the group's behalf to like bail out on your goaltender like that. It's gross. Like, it's gross. I can't believe you get to a point where you're down 3-0 and you say, hey, that's it, we're out of here. Mike Fammy Stolarz hasn't been good either lately. It isn't just Woll. I think Stolarz has been pretty good. I mean, the game against San Jose, I mean, yeah, both those goals weren't great, but whatever. Worm casting is easy. Zack, if Woll makes those saves, we are going to OT. If you're talking about tonight, sure, like, that's what I'm saying. I don't know what to say, honestly, with the game like this. You were good in the first period. You were the better team. Your goaltending hung you out to dry for 3, and you called it quits. That's pretty pathetic. Like, I'm reading the chat here now. Honestly, it's like excuses for this clown show of team, not going anywhere in the playoffs, so far away from where you need to be, blah, blah, blah. Honestly, like, if you want to do this right now, I can just say, you know what? Fuck this team. You're losing in 4 games. Don't trade anybody. Let's get to the summer. Let Marner walk. Let Tavares walk. Trade Matthews, trade Riley, trade Nylander. Let's tank and be the worst fucking team in the league. Let's call it quits. Let's get the fuck out of here, and we'll just call it a show. Because if that's where we're at, that's where we're at. If that's the way we want to approach these things, then fine. Fuck it. This team sucks ass. We're out of here. You're not doing shit in the playoffs. It's all over. Fuck this team. Fuck all of it. We're done. We're done. Like, I don't know what people want to be said in a game like this. You are one of the top teams in the Atlantic Division. You are one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference, and you have had a much different season than you've had in years past. It looks different. You're getting goaltending. It's the best defense that you're getting here right now. You're starting to get some contributions from the bottom 6 over the last little while. Yeah, Matthews is hurt. That's not great. Marner looked fine here tonight, honestly. Like, he looked pretty decent, a bright spot in all of this. I thought Nylander had some chances. I just am like, talking about this game and just having to do this year after year. Nobody gives a flying fuck what happens for 82 goddamn games of the season. All that matters is what happens once we get to game 1. And yeah, there's ups and downs, but this season has been the least frustrating of any that I've probably watched since like the first year these guys got here on this team. And the first year these guys made it into the NHL, and we went on and went to the playoffs and had that run, and it was like, wow, this is so exciting. After that, pressure was on and we started to feel it. I started to feel it. The frustration weighs and weighs and weighs. I just am like, this has been the least frustrating season for me. Yeah, there's ups and downs, but it's not been as consistent as before. So what do we want to do here? Like, what do we want to do? 6 1/3. Zack AM34 is done for this season unless he rests for a month. All right, great. Are you watching the games, or are you just watching the fucking stat sheets? Because, yeah, the guy's not scoring at the same level, but if you're watching, he's out there and he's creating opportunities. He's creating chances. He scores one here tonight, and it's a second chance effort that he's getting with a decent shot from the side, goes to the front of the net, gets his own rebound, and buries that one. You see a sigh of relief like, hey, I'm scoring. It's 5-1 at that point, and you see a little fist pump out of the guy. I just am like, where do we want to go with this? Like, reading the chat is abysmal at this point. Like, we're basically calling it quits on the season because you had one shitty game here against Vegas after a shitty game against San Jose. You want to know who's probably in the lead of Cup favorites right now? Winnipeg, Washington, Vegas, Florida, Tampa, if you want to throw them in there. Go look at their schedules and tell me there's not a fucking game like this in there. Like, seriously. Look at Florida's schedule from earlier. They lost to Pittsburgh in some of these. Like, this is a frustrating game to happen. I just can't call it quits on this season because this happened. I just can't. And again, the most frustrating part of all of this is that you were the better team in the first period. You were the better team in the first period. You were down 3-0, and you bailed on your goaltenders. Yeah, they fucked you over. Let's call it what it is. But you bailed on them after that. That's unacceptable. I mean, honestly, it's just, you can't have that happen. You cannot have that happen. You got to fight back. You got to give it a shot. The Phenom, I'm out. Zack is too much of a fan to be objective. Fair enough. We got a super chat here. Let's get to the super chat. Super chat from Jeff McKay. And for those wondering, proceeds from the super chats this season go to sick kids charity. It is an awesome initiative that we have here. You want your question or your comment read or answered on the show, you send them in. We will answer them. I will answer and get to every single one that comes through here tonight. I will answer, read all of them. As well, I mean, there are people just looking for rage bait here in the chat. If you're just looking for that at this point, probably just going to ignore you or call into the show and give me your thoughts, because a lot of people just seem too afraid to want to speak up on some of that stuff or talk about what the actual frustrations are that are going on. They just won't do it. They just won't do it. But those of you sending the super chats, we appreciate it, and it does stand out, and it does go a long way. So Jeff McKay here with the super chat. Jeff, once again, I will stick to the reality of this team. They will not play defense in their own zone, and they're too cute in the other end. I mean, I thought, especially in that first period, the way that they're playing in the offensive zone was pretty dangerous. They were creating a bunch of chances. The power play that they got actually looked pretty decent. Like, you're getting shots to the front, you're collapsing down on the middle, you were making it difficult for them. Anything that you were circling around the outside, you were trying to move in tight pretty quickly rather than just standing around out on the boards and not getting anything through. I thought that in the first period, they looked pretty good offensively and pretty dangerous. I didn't think that they were too cute there. As the game went on, they just kind of fucked off and said, we're out of here. Like, we don't care anymore. We're done with all of this. So, like, as it went on, yeah, it became a little bit more frustrating, but I thought that they started right. I thought that they started well. When it comes to the defense, like, they have been one of the best defensive teams, and they are getting really good goaltending. And by all accounts, it sounds like they're going to try to add defensemen here. Like, it does feel like they're going to try to improve that. Chris Tanev is nearing a return with the team, which is a very positive sign. That's a guy that drastically improves your defensive group. Again, this is the best defensive group that you've had in a long time. Like, basically look up and down the lineup right now of what you have playing defense. This is pretty much near where you've gone into the playoffs, like, with a group like this in years past. And that's just not what it's going to be this year. So defensively, I feel much better. Goaltending wise, I feel much better. Yeah, I would agree with Jeff to an extent there on getting too cute in the offensive zone, but it felt like for the first period, like, they were bringing some pressure and coming in waves and creating opportunities that were pretty dangerous without being too cute. As the game went on, yeah, it got sloppy, and it got like, hey, we're going to try to make this extra pass. We don't want to get to the middle. I would agree with that. But I think to start here, which is, again, where it becomes frustrating, I thought that they were pretty pointed and pretty much trying to get towards the front there. So, yeah, I don't know. Another super chat. Colin McGillis, address the depth on this team. Thank you for the super chat there, Colin. Address the depth on this team. They don't have it. I'd like to hear an argument. Otherwise, the bottom six is a mess. And without Tanev, we see the results. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like they are going to address the depth. Like, we're 2 days away. This is the last game before the deadline. It does seem like they're going to address the depth. I don't think anyone disagrees with that. Like, he's saying, I'd like to hear an argument otherwise. I don't think you'd disagree. I think David Kampf as your 4C is fine. Bobby McMahon as your third line left winger puts you in a good spot. Yeah, you want to improve elsewhere. You want to add other pieces. I think that that's pretty well known at this point. Brock Nelson, Scott Lawton, those are all pieces that you're probably looking for. Braden Shen, like, you would like to go and acquire those because it adds a 3C. It adds your third line depth, and it pushes guys down in the lineup. It just ends up being a good spot if you can add those pieces, but it does sound like that's what they're trying to do. So, Colin, I don't have any disagreement. I don't think anybody does, and I don't think the management does. Another super chat. Mike Fami, I don't understand what the Leafs see in Lawton. Why do they want him? He's not even a center. He plays the wing in Philly. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I see what they see in him in terms of his game and what he can bring for you, but addressing the center position, I don't really think that would be my priority. I feel like Scott Lawton probably much better suited to go elsewhere and fit into a wing, especially a left wing position for you here. It's just kind of interesting how that one ends up working out, especially considering they want Bobby McMahon on your third line. I don't know. Maybe it gives you depth and you can push him down and then you get a center elsewhere. I don't know how it shakes out. Or you put Lawton on your second line. Like, I don't know. But, yeah, I do kind of have the same exact result, like, same kind of takeaway from this is, like, he's not a center, and I would rather not go out and make a splash at this deadline on a piece to play center who's not traditionally a center. So I can agree with you there. Another super chat. Cameron Huffman, you just can't lay an egg after Nyzy has that fight, not have an answer for these goals. That pisses me off. Did have some chances and a couple. Yeah, I agree. I mean, again, back to the same point that I kind of opened the show with and where my biggest frustration of the game in the first comes from and where I will disagree with Phenom. Like, Phenom, I mean, honestly, this is where this frustration steps in with this is like, we're coming here and we're just watching the scoreboard. Like, I'm convinced with comments like this, like, there's people who aren't watching the games. Like, they were not the better team in the first. They were down 3-0. Did you watch the first period? Did you watch the chances created? Did you watch Joseph Woll let in 3 goals on 7 shots? Did you watch him letting in a goal on a backhand shot from the faceoff dot? Like, was that something that you were paying attention to in the first period? Because, I mean, yeah, you laid an egg for the game as a whole after the Nyzy fight, but the way that you started in the first period for the first 20, you were ready to go. The kid drops the gloves off the opening draw. I mean, everybody had to have known that was going to be the case, and he was going to do so. Comes out absolutely chucking them. Left-handed bombs from Nyz, which was pretty sick to watch. And, you know, that's a big, mean, scary kid out there now who's developing a bit of a name for himself. Like, if he can go out there and fight and throw left-handed bombs against guys, and you know, Zack Whitecloud is not like a known fighter, but he definitely has fought. He definitely has done so, and Nyz held his own. He was prepared and he was landing some. That's a pretty good way to start a game. It's just like I watched that first period. I thought they looked pretty good. Joseph Woll lets in 3, and they just said, fuck it, we're out. Like, I see, get your fanboy hat off. This team will be gone in the first round, especially with the goaltending we had tonight. Yeah, with the goaltending you had tonight, 100%. The goaltending was fucking awful. And then I saw us not scoring and Vegas scoring every 5 minutes. Well, then you're not able to look bigger picture because that was a pretty good first. You just walked away from that one down 3 because you didn't get the goaltending. If you had the goaltending that Aiden Hill provided Vegas in the first period and you swapped goaltenders here tonight, it could have been 3-0 for the Leafs. Now, the comment that I will agree with here and has been an ongoing issue with the Leafs for a long time is Lighthouse BGA. I am not frustrated by the loss. I just know that if Florida or Tampa Bay were down 5-0, they would be running people through the boards. The Leafs just check out. Well, here's where this one goes off the rails and where my head explodes. And if this is what you were looking for, then fuck, here it is. 6 1/3, Phenom. Here is the frustration that you guys are coming here and crying about because you're not getting. Here it is. Well, yes, Lighthouse BGA is completely right. This group does not have that. I watched this group here tonight, and Matthews and Marner and Nylander tried to get back in this game by pressing and creating some chances. What they won't do is fight. and go out and mash guys through the boards and punch guys' heads off and smash their heads through the glass. They won't do that. They've never done that, and they will never do that. So I don't know if they don't have balls in their pants or what it is, but they just will not go out there and do what the other teams do that we watch. I don't know if it's a culture issue or what the fuck the problem is, but it definitely starts with the guys at the top there. Nyes can do it all he wants. OEL can do it all he wants. But you look around and you look at Matthews, Marner, Nylander, Tavares, and those guys will never fucking do that. At this point, we just have to come to accept that this is what this team is. That's kind of where I'm at in the fandom and the analysis of this team. What the fuck are you going to ask for of these guys? It's been 8 years into the 9th season. By the way, 20 fucking games left in the year. So it's not like they're going to change it and do it any differently at this point in the year. They're just not going to do it. That maybe that's where it is. It's just like we're numb to it. I'm numb to it. I just can't understand what is going on with this and how we're going to get to a point where it's like, yeah, that's going to be the case. They're going to turn around. They're going to do that. They won't. They won't. So you can get frustrated all you want to watching these guys and being like, why won't Matthews fight? Maybe watch a different fucking team, or it's time for these guys to get traded. Like, I don't know. We're going to find out when it gets to the playoffs this year if these guys are going to play any differently or not, or if what Berube has implemented has meant anything. And if it hasn't, then fucking blow it up in round 1. I don't know what to tell if they lose in round 1. I just don't know what to tell you, because watching this, it's just gotten to a point of like no return where this is who they are. Why are we expecting them to change? They don't fight. They don't hit back. They don't go nuts late in the game. Like, they do not do what Tampa, Florida, Colorado, Vegas do. They do not do that. They do not have that in them. Like, it's just not what they do. It's not what they've ever done. It will not happen. I don't know. Like, what the fuck are you watching and what expectations do you have? Because 8 years through, how can you get to that point? Like, how can you do that? I don't know. They won't do it. They won't do it. They won't do it. And I don't understand here, honestly, what I'm supposed to say after this. Like, seriously, I'm going to go and I'm going to read an ad. And in that period of time, because there's a lot of people fucking complaining here in the chat. Honestly, like, this game, yeah, it's a frustrating game. But seriously, you guys are all pissy pants in the chat here right now about the way this one went. Tell me what you'd like me to say. I want to hear it, because all you fucking guys are doing right now is complaining that I'm not complaining about shit. Oh, I won't call it the players. I just said exactly my thoughts on this and why these guys won't battle back. I also just talked about how the goaltending stunk in the first period and fucked you. We also talked about how the fact that these guys just did not fight back and gave up on the game. Everybody, top to bottom, every player in this game fucked off after the first 20 minutes down 3-0. So tell me, while I go to read this ad, tell me, what would you like said? Because I can't figure out what outside of that you would like to be broken down differently from this game here today. Like, tell me, seriously, where else do we go with this one? What else do we want talked about? Otherwise, like, we can just call it a season, wave the white flag, and say, hey, that's it. This is the end of the game. This is the end of the season. This loss here tonight, that's it. That's all we've got. Season's over. You lost to Vegas in Game 62. Call it quits. Let's shut it down. We need to get out of here because it's not happening. You lost in Game 62. This team slumps every year around this period of time, and we're going to mash the panic button because for some reason here, it's different now. It's like it's like people are like watching this team for the first time or something. I guess it's who they are. We've accepted it now. We've got to. Otherwise, we're going to go insane expecting something different. Like, this is who this group is. I'm not going to sit here and try to sell you up a river that this is where, like, oh no, this team's going to win the Stanley Cup. I don't fucking believe that. I'm going to go into the playoffs and basically take it game by game. The only reason that this regular season is just like, we're just getting by and I'm not snapping as much as usual is because How much can we do that before we wear ourselves out as fans? We've called out everyone that needs to be called out repeatedly. We've broken this thing down to the most minute detail possible. The power play is fucking atrocious, or has been for the most part. They actually finally looked dangerous on a couple of their opportunities tonight, and then they fucked off again. Are we going to talk about the power play again here tonight? It's the same story. It's the same story all year. It's just outrageous. So let me know what you guys want in the chat, and maybe we'll talk about some of that. If you can find anything fucking unique other than what I've talked about here already. Coming up this Saturday, an opportunity for the Leafs to redeem themselves, and maybe an opportunity to hear what people have to say in person. March 8th. For Flight Night at Greta Bar YYZ, as we watch Toronto take on Colorado and get your shot at an unforgettable nation vacation to Nashville. One lucky winner and their guests will travel with the TLN crew, fellow nation vacationers, to Nashville from March 20th to 23rd, where Toronto will take on Nashville. The grand prize includes round-trip airfare from Nashville to Tennessee, or from Toronto to Nashville, Tennessee, with Air Canada, carry-on and personal item only, bus transportation, 3-night stay, and live podcasts. Love and Exile Wine Bar, feature an event there, wine tour, group tickets to watch Toronto take on Nashville at Bridgestone Arena. Must have a valid passport that is not expiring within 6 months of travel. Must be 21 plus to enter. How to win? Purchase a ticket. You're automatically able to play Guess the Bravery Beads guessing game for a chance to win a trip for two to Nashville. Price is Right rules. No going over guesses. If multiple people have the same guess, the TLN crew will challenge you to some hockey trivia to secure your win. Any extra guesses are $20 each. General admission for the event is $10, and VIP admission is $40, including a Greta burger, beverage, and game card, all in support of the Sick Kids Foundation. Okay. Would you trade Matthews for Eichel? Oh my. We're getting nuts here right now. I can't believe where we're at in the chat here right now. It's like it's like the flip-flop. It's like Michael Scott with his vasectomy in The Office. Like, I mean, we win a game and we talk about, hey, these are the things that we're looking at because these didn't go so well for this team in this win here tonight. And we've got the same people, by the way, the exact same people who are here complaining about the breakdowns of some losses, being like, those people, they won. Why are you upset? Well, this team's first in the Atlantic Division here still, and still at the top, and still holding on spots, and still looking to make some trades at the deadline. And it's like, now we lose, and it's like, why won't you call out the team? We're all over the place on these ones. I just can't wrap my head around this, how we get to this spot and get to this place to go back and forth like this. It's like, you know what? We've always known what it was going to be. We've always known. And I mean, if this is the analysis that wins are good and losses are bad and that's it, then I mean, like, we're in the wrong spot, because that's not what we're talking about. It's how you played in those. And I mean, look, there's not much more I could say about it other than you kind of disappeared. Look, I only got two things left here, so let's do those and then let's get out of here, because I don't have much else to say. I'm sure the boys tomorrow are going to have the exact same opinion on it. You were sleepy after the second period, or basically later on in the third period, or the first period, after you got down 3-0. You called it quits on your goaltenders, and it was a pretty shitty game after that. I mean, it was ugly. It was boring. It was sloppy hockey. Like, it was just, you didn't show up. You didn't have it here today. Whatever. I don't know how you played. Okay. I mean, how you played is for girls soccer. Well, 6 1/3. That attitude from you is what gets you first round losses every year and what makes you content walking away after the fact. I mean, like, we're looking at how you played, because we're trying to determine, are you going to be a team that is okay with playing in the playoffs and ready to go. I don't know. The only things I really want to talk about, let's get to play of the game, presented by Greta. I mean, honestly, you know what? Let's see here. This is how we know that we just have absolutely zero stones here right now. 6 1/3. You want to call into the show? You want to let us know your thoughts? Call into the show tonight. You won't do it. You just want to troll in the chat. That's all we're here for. So, I mean, you can do you and be pissy pants in the chat, but it is what it is. Play of the game here today for me is going to be the Matthew Nyes fight. That was that was the play of the game. That was the most exciting moment here tonight. Fought, threw some bombs with his left hand. Get in, get out. Not much else positive happened here tonight. This is a pretty shit game. Pretty much just wanted this thing to be over with right away after like 15 minutes. 6 1/3. Lol, I don't know the text, sorry. All you got to do is press a button. Usually clicking a link there, brother. It's pretty simple, and that's all you got to do. The other thing that I want to talk about in this one, that's the play of the game, the Nyes fight. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is the goal challenge, 4-0. Tanner Pearson stabbing away effectively at Anthony Stolarz. It's the first loss that the video challenge team for the Leafs has had this season. I mean, you can obviously get a little bit loose with it when you're down 4-0 there, potentially 5-0 at that point. That's a pretty fucking egregious goal call, in my opinion. Like, if I'm the Leafs at this point, or if I'm any team around the league, I'm just putting pucks in the slot and just stabbing away at goaltenders. Like, honestly, at that point, if the goalie's laying down covering pucks, I am just spearing the absolute living fuck out of every single goaltender when he's down there. Like, if there's a goal reverse, I'm just showing that video and saying, here's the precedent. Here's the precedent. Hey, Gary, here's the precedent that you set with that goal that you allowed to be called. Like, that's an egregious goal call to me. I cannot fathom how that is called a good goal at any fucking point in any league, any game, at any score. I don't care. I don't get it. Anthony Stolarz has that puck underneath him, and Tanner Pearson, who's got his stick spearing away in the blue paint, is quite literally visibly moving Anthony Stolar's body parts. Arm, shoulders, glove. Like, he is just hammering away at them. It squeaks through into the empty net because it was jarred loose from Anthony Stolarz, and you call that a good goal. Are you fucking high? Like, are you high? Is that serious? Like, honestly, at this point, if I'm looking around the league right now and I just saw that, if there is anything in front of the net, I'm just spearing the fuck out of goaltenders and then just saying, you called it a good goal in Toronto, Vegas. The precedent was set there. And if you're going to flash back and say, well, no, that one shouldn't have been a goal, then fucking punish Wes McCauley for that, because that's a bullshit goal call. Punish whoever's in the video room calling that. I don't know if they're just tired at the end of the night, wanting to get out of there. Like, that goal does not change this game. It does not. You're still losing. You still played like absolute shit the second and the third periods. It was a pathetic, unexcusable effort, but that goal call is fucking ridiculous to have that called. Egregious. Like, that goal call was pathetic. I'm sitting there. I'm basically as checked out as these players are on the game, because I'm just waiting for this thing to be over. That thing happens, and I'm ready to jump through the TV and choke out Wes McCauley watching that. That was insane. Insane goal. Dominic DeShellis. Nothing wrong with that goal. Our goalies don't know how to smother pucks. Come on. Dominic, come on you, brother. Wake up. That puck is underneath him. It's a net front scramble in which he made 2 or 3 massive saves to keep the puck out of the net, collapses down on top of the puck, and gets speared with the puck going into the net. That's a terrible, 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 terrible goal call. Pathetic, honestly, that the league allows that to happen. I don't know if it's the refs on the ice who determine that, or if they're calling back to the video crew and they're the ones who are giving the A-OK. Just egregious for that thing to be called a goal. Like, that's pathetic. That's so pathetic. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know how you get to that point. All right, let's get to our best bet segment here, presented by Bet365, proud partner of Leafs Nation pregame and the Leafs Nation after dark. Open an account Bet365 today. Bet on a huge range of markets. Use code NATION, N-A-T-I-O-N, code NATION, N-A-T-I-O-N, all caps. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. All right, let's get to our best bet. Our best bet segment did win here today. We had plus 125, Austin Matthews to score a goal, $50 on that one. Profited us 62.5 on the night. So 2 of our last 3 there winning, obviously getting us back out of this losing streak that we had been in. I think it's 5 in a row that we had lost. We are still up big on the season. We do end up losing the smaller bet that we had tonight. I put a little bit on Matthews to score 2+. That one was just a tiny, tiny bet in the grand scheme of things, but it is a loss. A loss is a loss is a loss. We are up 6.18 units on the season, $618 this year that we have profited. So that is our best bet. Matthews anytime. It felt like a goal was coming for him. I mean, since the break, this guy's been snake bitten, and this is where people want to get all pissy pants about stuff and say Matthews can't score. Look, I think he's been playing well, and I mean, 6 1/3 disagrees. This guy's having the worst 2 weeks of his entire life here, watching this team just flipping out every game. But I thought that honestly Matthews has been good. He just hasn't been able to score. I thought he's been playing pretty well, and it felt like goals were coming. If you look back from returning from the Four Nations break, Matthews had the highest expected goals of any player in the NHL, which means he's having the most dangerous chances. He's getting himself into the right spot, creating the right opportunities. I think Matthews is hurt, as Carl says, but he's still creating chances. We just hadn't seen it going in the back of the net. It felt like it was coming. You get that one here tonight, and you could obviously see some relief on Matthews' face. So, whatever. Good for him for scoring that goal and getting himself on the board. It's probably got to feel pretty good to have that happen. So, that's a good sign at least, and that cashes our best bet. Diz K, Zack, do you honestly believe this team finishes first in the Atlantic? Why not LTIR 34? Because I don't think 34 is showing you signs enough that he can be LTIR'd. Part of the problem is, Matthew Tkachuk literally couldn't skate. Mark Stone had missed a while with a back injury when he went out. The other thing is, you look at some of those guys that have been LTIR'd, there was signs leading up to it that they were injured, and then they would miss time, and then they would get LTIR'd. Matthews is still playing well, and producing points. That's part of the problem. He's looking pretty good. He's just looks slightly off with the goal scoring. It's not coming. There's something nagging him, but he's got to agree to it. The NHL has to sign off on it, which is another problem. And the final thing, do you honestly believe this team finishes first in the Atlantic? I don't know, but you got to push for it, because here's the problem. If you don't win first in the Atlantic, you're playing either Florida or Tampa. Whichever of those 2 teams does not finish first. And that is hell. That is hell. I would much rather just not have to play them in the first round, because one of the 3 teams will have to go home in the first round at bare minimum. I would rather not have to go through them to get to the second round. So I don't think you can LTIR them. I don't think that you will LTIR them. Yeah, you want first in the Atlantic. The other thing here is let's see who comes back on the trade deadline. Tomorrow and Friday will be really interesting. Who or what, if anything, are the Maple Leafs going to acquire? I'm going to watch. I'm going to watch for it very closely. Let's get out of here with our final segment. That would be our grade of the game. Look, this one's simple. The grade of the game is an F. Your goaltender stunk. Stolars came in and let in that one 17 seconds into the second period. I don't think he's to blame for this thing at all. He does let 2 in past him, but you were good in the first period, and then you just completely fucked off. You quit on your goaltender. You quit on the team. Everybody quit on each other. It was pathetic. It was a sad effort. It was a shitty effort. You lost a shitty game here tonight. I don't know. I haven't seen this team quit like this in a long time. So that was really, really frustrating. The grade is an F. That's all we got for this one. So, that's going to do it for me to finish this show here tonight. Our final one before the trade deadline. We'll see what happens over the next little while. I will be back on Saturday night for another post-game show to break down the Leafs game against the Colorado Avalanche. Wouldn't it be the most Leafy thing ever to lose San Jose Monday and then lose this one here tonight to Vegas, and then you beat the Colorado Avalanche? That's what it feels like is going to happen to me. So we'll see. We'll be back for another pregame show on Friday. We'll be back for another Leafs Nation After Dark, or on Saturday, sorry. Back for another Leafs Nation After Dark, and then as well. This has been game number 62, the Toronto Maple Leafs regular season, losing to the Vegas Golden Knights here tonight, 5-2 in a pretty pathetic effort. Thank you all for watching. Appreciate it. See you on Saturday. Till then, keep believing. For more content just like this, including game previews, post-game live shows, Leafs Morning Take Monday through Friday with Nick Alberga and Jay Rosehill with special guests, as well as instant reaction videos, make sure to be subscribed here to the Leafs Nation YouTube channel. Turn on notifications so you don't miss anything, and drop a like.